All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today for the final installment of our Future You webinar series. Thank you for prioritizing your future self and for taking the necessary steps towards building not only your rich retirement, but also your rich life along the way. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mark Sado, and I am a lifestyle financial planner. And I'm building a life that I don't need to retire from. I'm building and living my life by design, my rich life. It didn't happen overnight, and I'm certainly not 100% there. But by doing the work daily and trusting in the process, the outcome is all but guaranteed. I've created a vision, I've created a process, and I'm committed to the journey. So before we get started today, just some quick housekeeping. This is an informal discussion, hopefully not just with himself. So by all means, jump in whenever you've got anything to ask or to question or any comments. The engagement is always great. So the webinar will be about 45 minutes. If we run over, you feel free to log off. We'll try and keep it to exactly that time. And then finally, just on the format, today's session, like every Tuesday session that we've had, is a theoretical one. So me parting my thoughts and ideas onto you. And then Friday sessions are practical. So hopefully you come back with questions, given what we've spoken about today, and then we can run through those examples. We'd love to work through your real life examples. Alternatively, I've prepared a bit of a workbook for us to go through in terms of implementing some of today's topics into your personal life in order to help you achieve the things you want to achieve. So our final topic today relates to another Japanese concept, and that is of Kaizen. So Kaizen is a compound of two Japanese words that together translate as good change or improvement. So Kaizen is an approach to creating continuous improvement based on the idea that small, ongoing, positive changes can reap significant improvements. The idea is that setting small, achievable goals is the way to achieve big things. And the Kaizen approach is typically applied to the business world and how to build your business, but I think it relates quite well to your personal life, right? And if we try and understand how that relates, we can break it down into the theme of this month's Future You, and also try and understand it a little bit better into the three topics that we've spoken about leading up to this week. So, retirement 3.0, building out your rich life now, and the resources you need and how to allocate them. So through the last couple of weeks, we have created awareness, right? Awareness of what the ideal retirement looks like, your ideal retirement, and how we can fund that, right? We've created a retirement that you can actually look forward to and connect with, something that you've got to retire to, as opposed to just a life that you're retiring from. Right? We created an awareness that it is possible to craft a life that you can actually enjoy every step of the way, and not just the life that starts at retirement. So society dictates to us that we work, and we get to age 60, and then we retire, and we start living. So the problem with that is, what if you don't get to retirement? It sounds silly, but it's very true. What if something happens along the way, and you've sacrificed everything to get there, and then you don't get there? So we've kind of looked at it to say, okay, so let's assume that, let's go with this, right? Let's say we're going to work till 60 and then we're going to retire. What does the perfect retirement look like? How do we structure it? We went through the different phases, but also taking a step back to say, okay, so if that's what we're going to retire to, how do we make sure that we live an amazing life between now and retirement? One that we enjoy every step of the way. So we sort of built out your rich life now, understanding what's important, what you want to do, and what that looks like. We then created an awareness of, if that's what your rich life looks like, what resources will you need now in order to make all of the above happen. So what are the resources that you can call on? What are the resources that are in your control that you can do, use, shape, manipulate in whatever way in order to help you live an amazing life now? So with all of this awareness, I've said this multiple times in this series, but once you know, you know. And now that you know, it's time to do something about it. And this is where the concept of Kaizen really kicks in. In order to implement the above, those three different topics, in order to implement those and make it our reality, we need to start somewhere. And if we look at the resources, for example, knowing how much you need to earn as an income ultimately means identifying if your current job or career has the scope to get you there financially, right? Because now you know what life is going to cost. This amazing life that you're trying to build, we've re-engineered it, we've planned it out, we've mapped it out, and we've figured out a number that your career needs to provide for. Right? You now then need to take a hard look and say, does the career I'm in have the legs to get me there? And let's assume that it does, right? So it can get you there. You've done the work on your career. You understand what your career path needs to look like in order to get there. You know the steps of the ladder that you need to climb. But now what, right? Now, as I said previously, the hard work starts. So now you may need to upskill yourself. You may need to deliver more. You may need to be a better version of you in order to climb that ladder, to get to that income number, which ultimately allows you to do the things you want to do. It may require you to be in a better state of mind in order to get your stuff done daily, right? It needs you to show up in a way that you can give 110% of yourself to your organization, to your career, so that you can get from it what you need, right? And if we do those two things correctly, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So the question is, what do we do? How do we actually do it? And I think, we need to take a step back and look back on ourselves. It's you can't do what you've always done, right? What you've always done has got you to this point. And I think maybe that's not fair. Well, maybe it's not fair to say you can't do what you've always done. It's probably you need to do what you've always done and then some, right? There needs to be some more growth. What you've always done has got you this far, but what got you here won't necessarily get you there. And this sounds like cheesy one-liners, but we really need to think about that, right? So the work that you've done has got you to this point here. The point that you're at now is not providing everything that you're looking for. So you've identified that it's got the opportunity. You've got the opportunity to get there, but you need to do something different, right? So you need to change. You need to implement change daily. It's not, if we look at change and say, okay, corporate ladder, I'm here, I want to be there. That seems massive. Going from here to there is huge and scary. How do we do that? And it's through daily small actions every day, even when you don't feel like it. You need to show up. You need to show up for yourself. You need to build new habits that will aid the life that you are building. Positive habits. Now, these changes aren't easy, but really nothing worthwhile is. And again, and throughout this whole webinar, there's going to be a lot of these cheesy one-liners, but it's really true. It's change is hard, but that's because it's growth. Growth is hard. Growth isn't easy, and unless you win the lotto, which will probably be spent tomorrow, it's nothing worthwhile comes easily. You need to put the effort in order to get to where you want to get to. I read Robin Sharma's book, The 5 a.m. Club, in early 2019, and it literally changed my life. I had to go back, and I can't believe that it was 4 years ago that I read it, and I actually reread it every December. So refreshes me and holds me accountable to all those things. But that book changed my life. In 2018, after 8 years of being a financial planner, I, for the first time, did my own financial plan, right? One in which I've been basically talking to you, or the process that I've been talking to you about in this Future You series, I did in 2018. I built out what my rich life looked like for the first time. For the first time, I put everything down on paper. I imagined what I wanted it to look like for me, my wife, my kids, where we want to live, how we want to do it. And I put it all down. I looked at where I was in life and in work with my family, and if what I was building and what I had was what I wanted. And it turns out it wasn't my definition of my best life, right? It was a good life, but it wasn't everything that I wanted. I wasn't 100% in control of what my future was going to look like. And when we discussed the resources in our previous webinar, being in control of your resources allows you to be in control of what the outcome looks like. And I had to look in on my business and say, am I in control of this thing, right? And the short answer is no. My future could still look amazing, but I needed to play by somebody else's rules, right? I needed to adhere to somebody else's imposed rules, and those rules didn't align 100%, right? They didn't tie up with my beliefs and the life that I wanted to live and the way that I wanted to live this life. So I was faced with some serious changes to make to my business as it was. In my business, as is a career, is the biggest resource. I spoke about that. It's the biggest resource, the one we've got the most control. And it's the one that can have the biggest impact on helping me build and live this rich life. So I started searching around. Now that I was aware, I knew I needed to do some things, and I connected with some people and how I could reshape my business, and I took the steps. I started putting myself out there to figure out how people did things differently and if it could work, all with the knowledge of what I want this life to look like. Right? So it wasn't an easy journey, but come 2019, this Robin Sharma book came into my life, and I read the book. And the thing about the book is that it's like a blueprint on how to do the work. So I'd done this planning work, I'd done understanding the resources, but I wasn't exactly sure on how to implement it. Along comes the 5 a.m. club, and it's like a blueprint. It really is. It shows you how to put the structures in place, how to get your mindset right, and how to start making the necessary changes. And once I started implementing these, I literally couldn't stop. It's had a knock-on effect to everything that I've done this far in life. That's 4 years back. I can't believe it. I look back on the things that I do daily now, and I've been doing those things for 4 years. And I guess that's the reason that I've experienced some progress, right? The book was also, it's like the universe aligned, but there's some super weird timing. The character in the book travels through Italy, Rome, Cape Town, Franschhoek, Mauritius, and these are all places that became super relevant in my life at that point in time. We had made the decision that we were going to leave Joburg and move to Cape Town at the end of 2019. So there was that. We were actually on a family holiday in Mauritius while I was reading the book, and there's a big chapter of the book that's based in Mauritius. So I could really relate to it, and it just made it easier to understand. But another thing about the book is that it comes with a super practical PDF workbook as well, which I did religiously. I don't read books, I listen to books, but I listened to it, and then I re-listened to it, and then I took the PDF and I worked through the PDF. And I did this religiously. And some of the biggest lessons that I learned, I'm going to share with you now, and how I've implemented those, and how you could possibly implement those. And I think this is the work we'll do on Friday. Is I'll get that PDF. I'll show you what's necessary to do. But And one of the biggest ones is getting up at 5 a.m. The book's called the 5 a.m. Club. And the idea is that you get up at 5 a.m. and you run something called the 20-20-20 formula. But before we go into the 20-20-20, it's Robin Sharma kind of speaks about it being your golden hour, right? So while most of the world is still asleep, you are up, supercharging yourself, right? So you're giving yourself this head start in life, head start in the day, by getting up at 5. And the concept of getting up at 5 is great, but in order to run the 20-20-20 formula, which needs to start at 5, you actually need to get up before 5, right? It depends on the season, but if it's summer, I'll get up at 4:30 in order to do this, so that I can get up, get out of bed, get comfortable, and then go and start the thing. And if it's winter, I get up at 4:45 because it's just a little bit colder. But still, I've got to be up before 5 in order to get this thing going right. So the 20-20-20 formula is the first 20 minutes, you do some exercise. The next 20 minutes, there is reflection, so journaling, meditation, quiet contemplation. And the last 20 minutes are devoted to growth. So it's reading, going through your goals, studying something that's interesting to you, something that's going to expand your mind. And I've tried many iterations, but if you go through the book, there's a whole bunch of theory behind all of these things. The 20 minutes of exercise, it's in order to release hormones which combat stress, right? So there's some there's some theory behind it that exercise releases BDSM. It's like a hormone which targets stress. And if you can target stress first thing in the morning, you set the tone for the rest of your day. So initially I was skipping, trying to get some sweating going, but lately that's not lately, but over the last year that's moved into form of yoga, right? So I'm getting older, not old, but older, and I run and I train, but the thing is, like, with the weight training, my body gets stiff, so the yoga is like a great reset. Every morning it loosens me up, it creates flexibility, and it gets my heart rate up, funny enough. But it's so it's good, right? Then the second 20 minutes is I do some meditation, which is also amazing. I use the Calm app. I do 10 minutes of meditation and then 10 minutes of journaling. I do the daily Calm, so it's a guided meditation. And I've just figured that out. In the beginning, I used to just sit for 20 minutes and try and meditate. And you're trying to uncover what meditation looks like. And just in that process, you're searching for meaning, you're searching for answers. How do you do this? You go into different states. Which is great. You need to find something that works. This is where I'm at now, and a guided meditation followed by a journaling exercise, a gratitude journal. What are you grateful for? How are you feeling? All of those things. And then the last 20 minutes is devoted to growth. And over the years, this has changed. Sometimes I was reading books, like physically reading books, but what I've been doing, obviously, with my move to Portugal is the language, right? So I've got a little app, and I go on there and I do 20 minutes of language. So I'm trying to learn Portuguese, and it's vocab and it's expressions, and there's little tests in there. And so I do that every day, Monday to Friday. I do that. And over the last 4 years, I have been doing that in and out, right? We've had, I think the two big times that I had to take a break from doing this was when we had Sephora, my daughter. That was in 2020 in September. So this was great. I was doing this in 2019 in Joburg. We moved to Cape Town. I started doing it then. But when we had Sephora, I needed to be there from a time perspective over the night with my wife to share responsibilities. And it just didn't allow me to get up at 4:30 or 5 with the interrupted sleep. So I couldn't do it for about, I think I took a break from September through to October, November, and I could literally feel the negative impact of not doing it. It felt like I lost my locus of control. I could feel things weren't going the way that they needed to go. And I just needed to get back to this routine, which I did when we were in a more stable place and Sephora was sleeping better and things. So that was great. And then The second time I took a break was when we moved to Portugal last year, and I kind of took the month of June off in order to figure out life and get the kids acclimatized and find schools and homes and all of that stuff. But again, these were probably two very stressful periods of my life, and I didn't do the thing which calmed me the most, and I could feel it. I took that month off. Actually, it was more than a month. It was June was off. July, we had to go to, we moved to Barcelona for July and half of August before we got back here, and only was able to start again in September. But starting again, it was like, it's my go-to. It calms me, and it gives me peace, and it enables me to work through my stuff, which is great, right? So for me, it's amazing. So that's the first practice I've taken out of that. Trying to get up, as I said, to run this formula at 5 o'clock means that I've got to get up at 4:30 or 4:45, right? Which the knock-on effect, I spoke about knock-on effects earlier. The knock-on effect of that means that I need to get to sleep by 9:30, right? So, and in order to get 7 hours at least of sleep, because obviously I'm not going to sleep. Well, I don't sleep through completely. I track my sleep, but that means that I need to be sound asleep by 9:30, which means I actually need to be in bed by 9 at the latest. So in order to run my morning routine, which you can sense I rely on to get me through stressful periods of life and to center me and ground me, it means that I now need an evening routine. Because you can't get to bed at 12 and think you can wake up at 4:30. You can't get to bed at 11 or 10 and think you can. I've figured out that if I get less than 7 hours of sleep, I cannot function well enough the next day. The morning starts fine, but the afternoon is a struggle. So I've figured that over the time. So 7 to 7.5 hours is what I need. 8 hours is perfect, but it's very hard to do that, trying to get up at 4:30. So in addition to the morning routine, we now have an evening routine. It's kids to bed by 8, shower, wash face, shave. And then in order to fall asleep by 9:30, my wife and I listen to an evening meditation, which has been really cool for the two of us. We light some incense, we hop into bed, and we listen to a meditation, which really helps you to fall asleep and calm. But this in turn has a knock-on effect. So if I want to run the evening routine, and I'll run that because I really want the morning routine, which I've shared, helps me so much. It means that I've had to make decisions during the week, so we don't socialize during the week if it's going to impact my ability to get in bed by 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday. It's just not going to happen. And it makes it easier to say no to those things. Those things ultimately are a distraction, which are going to take away from me doing the things I need to do in order to build and live my best life, right? So, the knock-on effect of working this morning routine has basically led me to make better overall choices in life and prioritize the things which are going to move me forward in order to build the life that I want to lead. It didn't start like this. It was trial and error. It was cool. Let me do the 5 a.m. club thing. Okay, figured out, I won't go to bed so late, so I'm going to try and do that. So then I made those decisions. I needed to get my wife on board, but I'll touch on that just now. But it has a positive knock-on effect, helping me, prioritize the things that are important. It's truly important. If I say this is the life I want to live, what am I doing about it? Like, what are the small daily steps that I'm going to take and put in place that are going to lead me to get there? What I've done up until now was good enough to get me here, but that wasn't going to move me forward. So I needed to change. Another thing that I've implemented daily is cold showers. Robin Sharman talks of it. I did a little bit more research into it. There's that Wim Hof. He's got a whole thing about cold showers and breathing and things. But I started doing cold showers in 2019, and I haven't had a warm shower since. It's just something I do, and it's amazing. Like, it's hard. It's hard in winter, but there's just so much research on cold water therapy. It's amazing for me. I have a shower in the morning and a shower in the evening. In winter, just in the morning, because I don't have 2 cold showers a day, but it awakens you up. It's good for your skin. It's good for your stress hormones again. It's really amazing. And it's something I live by, so if I've got to shower the kids, put them in and shower them with a warm shower, and then I'll have a cold shower. It really has been amazing. And then something which in prepping for this, I was thinking, what are the other things? And there's another concept from the book called the 90-91 formula. And what that says is, for the first 90 minutes of your working day, for the next 90 days, which is 3 months, focus on the one thing that will have the most impact on your business and life in order to move you forward. Right. So not only do you have this golden hour, which is getting up at 5 and running the 20-20-20, right? So it's golden hour. Stack that with my cold shower. Stack that with this 90-91, which seems very unrealistic, but it's 90 minutes is an hour and a half. So the first hour and a half of your day, focus on one thing for the next 90 days. That's going to have the greatest impact on moving you forward. So whatever that looks like, for me in the business, we decided we need to build our online presence, and it was LinkedIn and how we're going to use that. And so that's what we did, right? I built out a 90-minute process in order to help us build the brand and connect and provide content. And still to this day, we do that. It's the iterations have changed in terms of what we do in that 90 minutes, because we're learning. We're constantly learning from the data, but we still implement it. I still focus 90 minutes. Maybe it's a little less, if I'm honest, as it's moved on, but it's for 90 days. What is the one thing? And what is that one thing that we're going to prioritize? And what we're getting to here is that, I think it's also Robin Sharma, but he's got a thing called day stacking. So you stack these small little wins that you do every day, but these small daily, seemingly insignificant improvements, when done consistently over time, yield to amazing results. So you can break it down and say, okay, so you do the morning ritual, you do the cold shower, you do the 90-91. All of this is done before middle of the day. Right? That just gears you up to have a great day. The morning gears you up. Then you're taking that into your workday. He's got another thing where I think it's a 50-10 formula, right? So you break your calendar into bursts of 50 minutes with a 10-minute break. So do something for 50 minutes and then step away for 10 minutes and then do it again and do it again. So you can stack these things to build out a great day. And then great days lead to great weeks lead to great months to quarters to years. And if I look back over the last 4 years, doing those things has really made a positive impact on helping me move forward. I think the biggest thing for me has been mindset. I've now built or achieved or worked a mindset where I believe that I can pretty much do anything I want to do. I don't see things as obstacles. I just see it as, this is what I want to do. Does this thing align with what I'm trying to build for my business, for my life, for my family? If it's aligned, then I can do it. Is it going to aid it, or is it going to detract from it? If it's going to detract from it, it's very simple for me now to say, I'm not doing that. I'm not following that path. It's not going to move me forward. I know what I want, and I know what I'm trying to achieve. And I think I've built that out through these little processes. So these small daily wins that have become, 4 years in the making, really has opened my mindset. But me having the mindset is not enough, because I'm not just one man, living in this world. I have a little nucleus around me, and that's my wife and kids. So when I started the 5 a.m. club and started implementing these things, my wife was like, "What are you doing? 4:30, babe, go back to sleep. You're waking me up." And I was on this journey to enlightenment, but I wasn't bringing her with. So I was learning all these things and talking to her, and she was like, "I want to sleep. Leave me alone. I'm not getting up at 5. You can go do this crazy woo-woo stuff. And it didn't help, right? And I would push back and say, it's not woo, it's this, and it's all the positive impacts, and I'm meditating, and as if I was levitating, but not. So I got her to read the book. And while she hasn't embraced it exactly in the same manner that I have, because everybody will take it, their own iterations out of it, we are aligned, right? She knows this is what I do. She's embraced our evening ritual, and even the evening ritual was weird for her in the beginning, but now, like, we both respect it and appreciate it. We're both getting older. We want to be our best. We want to show up every day the best way that we can for ourselves, for our business, and for our kids. And if we have 4 hours of sleep because we choose to watch Netflix into the evening, or go out and socialize during the week to an extent where it's going to negatively impact the way we show up for our kids the next day, we don't do it. Now we've got a really cool evening ritual that we do together. We meditate together, we fall asleep. It's been amazing for cold sleep, which is really cool, but we're aligned. It's also meant that we've had to communicate more and better and more often. And communication is one of my strong suits. I communicate freely, but it doesn't come that naturally for my wife. But through this process, it's gotten better. It's allowed me to be more patient and to understand and see what she needs. I think the big thing is the knock-on effect. Even just going through this now, I didn't realize all of the positive knock-on effects that this has had by implementing these small changes. I had to make sure that my business was aligned. So that's the people I work with, the people I choose to include in my journey, right? So it's who do I partner with, and the clients that we work with. Who are the clients that I choose to work with? Our industry is kind of filled with anybody who can fog a mirror, they say, right? Anybody with a pulse can be a client. But that was not the business that I wanted to build. That was not the life that I wanted to build. So we were very intentional about who we want to work with. Who are these people that we can have the most impact on and help them in a way that they will value it the most, right? What are the things that they value, and what are the things that we value, and how do we align those two things? None of the business that we're building is by fluke. It's purely by design. Who we work with, what is our skill set, how can we match that to the needs that they have? It's designed in such a way that we can provide amazing value. That's one of our taglines. Like, if we're not providing value, you shouldn't pay us. Being a fee-based planner means you can switch off the fee tap whenever you want as a client, which keeps us on the hook to be adding value. Right? So we need to show up, we add value, and that in turn means you live a great life. Ideally, that's where we get you to. But it also means that I can live this amazing life now and into the future. And we're trying to do that for our clients, right? If clients succeed in it, I'll succeed in it. So, if you need to get ahead in your career, as an example, going back to the resources, when are you going to do the study, right? So if you need to upskill, when are you going to do it? In the morning while everyone is sleeping, during your lunch hour, or are you going to make excuses? It's when are you going to do that work, right? Are you going to say, I need days off so I can do it? Days off means that your day-to-day work is going to impact. Do you think that's going to positively impact your business and your growth? Or do you need to do it in a golden hour? Do you need to develop a golden hour for yourself, one that suits who you are? Are you a morning person or an evening person? When is your golden hour? When does that work? If you're looking to build a side hustle so that you can leave corporate and that can become your main gig, how will you do that? When are you prepared to do those things? Are you prepared to do those things? Are you going to do it on the weekend while everyone is out having fun? Or are you not prepared to say no to that? These are the tough questions, that we have to ask. Are you prepared to do the things daily to have the life that you want? This is another great cheesy one-liner from Robin Sharma, but are you really prepared to do the things that 95% of people aren't prepared to do in order to have the 5% that they will never have. And it's so easy for us to look in on other people and what they've got, and everybody is an overnight success. You don't see the sacrifice, but are you prepared to do what 95% of people are not prepared to do in order to have the 5% that they will never have? You know, that's like quite powerful for me. You know, if your version of your rich life means leaving everything and everyone and their perceptions behind, right? Are you prepared to do it? These are some of the questions that we need to ask. Once we've got the answers to that, we need to implement the small daily changes. So that is it from me. Parting my wisdom. It's been a great journey on this Future You webinar. You know, it's really the journey that I've taken, that I've done, that I've built, that I've worked through, and this is the work that we do for our clients. Not sure if Marcus, if you've got any questions or anything's come through.
No questions, but what you've shared is really powerful. Even what you shared now, parting your wisdom, and even though you've spoken a lot about Robin Sharma, I think it's really evident that you can also say that you've really become one with this, and you're kind of like a living testimony to this. Actually, now I can't believe you've been doing this so long. The cold showers, the processes of the 2020 and the 1991. Yeah, it's really incredible, and it boils down to what I even said the previous time, and it really gives me more meat to the meaning of, once you know where you are going, all decisions become easy. With regards to, not it's easy, but it's easy for you because you know where you're heading. And yeah, it's even incredible to see the the trials and tribulations, if you want to say it in that way, that you went through, even with your wife, getting her on board. But I guess everyone gets on board in some way in your life once they start seeing the positive impact, whether they implement it 100% like you do or not. But yeah, it's really insightful. It's really it makes me think. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think what
Obviously,
it does, you know,
yeah,
you touched on it. It gives you purpose. You know, so it doesn't make the decisions easier. It
yeah,
makes it easy to decide what to do, right?
yeah,
So that decision could still be hard, because the implication of making that decision is not going to be easy. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to require change, but it's very easy to spot. Does this move me forward? Yes or no? That's an easy decision, because now you know where you're going. If you know where you're going and what you're trying to build, the decision to say, is this the right vehicle? Is this the right choice? That's easy. Once you've said, yes, it's the right choice, oh gosh, well, that means now I've got to do all these hard things, right? Or you say, it's the right choice, but I'm not prepared to do the hard things. But then you can't have the
yeah,
outcome. You know, it's
yeah,
the two go hand in hand.
yeah. So thanks for that. Like, it's really given me a lot of insight. What I can say is I'm doing the cold showers, and I've started this ritual where every Sunday, me and my mate, we go to Sea Point, and we go cold water plunge, and we stay there like for 20 minutes, which is really rewarding in a way as well. But yeah, thanks for sharing your wisdom.
And you. That's great. So we will be here on Friday for our last practical session. It would be great to work through it. I'm going to get the PDF. Perhaps we'll include it in the recording that goes out today, if I can find it. But yeah, thank you so much, and we will see you on Friday.